Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to History Matters if you value serious, practical history that still works in the real world. What follows is not folklore and not exaggeration. It is a system developed by Viking communities that reduced the need for constant fire by turning the house itself into a heating device. Long before furnaces, radiators, or electricity, these builders understood heat in a way most modern homes still get wrong. Vikings solved cold by mastering heat retention instead of chasing heat sources. The central idea behind Viking heating was simple but powerful. The cheapest heat is the heat you don't lose. Archaeological remains of Norse longhouses across Scandinavia show structures designed to trap warmth rather than generate it endlessly. Walls were built thick using turf, soil, stone, and timber layered together. These materials slowed heat transfer and acted as thermal mass. Once warmth entered the building, whether from people, sunlight, or brief fires, it stayed there. Modern homes bleed heat through thin walls and poor insulation. Applying this Viking logic today starts with sealing gaps, adding insulation, and treating heat as something to guard rather than replace. The ground itself became a permanent heat source. Many Viking homes were partially dug into the earth. This wasn't for defense or convenience. Soil below the surface maintains a relatively stable temperature year-round. In winter, it is significantly warmer than the air. Norse settlements in Iceland and Greenland reveal homes sunk into the landscape, using earth as a natural thermal buffer. This reduced temperature swings and protected interiors from wind chill. In practical terms today, insulating foundations, basements, and slab floors can recreate much of this effect without rebuilding a house. Thick walls acted as heat batteries, not barriers. Viking walls were not just insulation, they stored heat. Stone bases and packed earth walls absorbed warmth during the day and released it slowly at night. This is thermal mass at work, a principle modern building science now confirms. A brief heat input could keep a Viking home warm for hours after the fire died. You can apply this by incorporating dense materials indoors such as brick, stone, or clay surfaces near heat sources or sunlit areas. These materials even out temperature swings and reduce heating demand. Airflow was controlled with extreme discipline. Viking homes were intentionally tight. Doorways were low, entrances were narrow, and ceilings were kept close to living height. Warm air was not allowed to rise and escape easily. Smoke holes in the roof were carefully managed to vent slowly without pulling warm air out rapidly. This approach minimized convection losses. Modern houses often leak warm air through poorly sealed doors, windows, and attics. A Viking-inspired fix involves weather stripping, draft blockers, and limiting unnecessary ventilation during cold periods. Human presence was part of the heating system. Vikings lived communally for a reason. Body heat from people and animals added measurable warmth. Sleeping platforms were enclosed, layered with hides, wool, and furs, trapping heat efficiently. Benches were built against walls where warmth lingered longest. This was not primitive living, it was efficient design. Today, heating empty rooms wastes energy. Closing off unused spaces, concentrating living areas, and using heavy curtains or textiles can, dramatically improve warmth retention. Daily life was, synchronized with thermal strategy. Viking routines followed the temperature cycle. Activities that produced heat, like cooking, tool repair, or gatherings were timed for the coldest parts of the day. Stones heated during cooking were sometimes placed near seating or bedding to release warmth overnight. This rhythm reduced the need for constant fires. A modern equivalent is cooking during cold hours, letting sunlight warm rooms during the day, and avoiding drastic thermostat swings that purge stored heat. So, why did this actually work better than a lot of modern systems? Well, the answer is pretty fascinating. You see, modern heating depends on a constant fuel input just to make up for inefficient design. But Viking homes, on the other hand, needed way less fuel simply because they wasted almost no heat at all. Their approach brought together earth integration, thermal mass airflow control, compact design, and, even disciplined living patterns, all into a single system. And, interestingly enough, off-grid builders and survivalists still rely on these same principles today because, well, they just plain work, even without any technology. Even in conventional homes, adopting just 2 or 3 of these ideas can significantly reduce heating costs. This was physics learned through experience, not guesswork. Vikings didn't have equations, but they understood cause and effect. Heat escapes upward, wind steals warmth, mass stores energy, space wastes it. These lessons are timeless. Their homes stayed warm not because they burned more fuel, but because they respected how heat behaves. If this guide changed how you think about warmth and shelter, subscribe to History Matters, share this episode with fellow history enthusiasts, and keep this knowledge alive. The past solved problems we're still struggling with today, and it's worth listening when it speaks.